Kilarigbo Live TV.
So look at this. You can search by any project name here. This is ministry, MDA, the stage of the project, I can't see that. This is states. This is states. This is a contractor, budget year, and local government. So you can search with any of these parameters. So if you want to even check for your state, you can click. If you click this button, there's a drop down of all the states. You click Lagos states, maybe your local government, and just see any contract set that is even going on in that state. It will show you. And from this website, you may need a subscription, but again, we are not going to get tired. It's our pot of rice. True or false? True. Let's quickly go to the next slide. So these are ways we can monitor, ensure that our eyes is on the pot of rice. And you know I'm talking about pot of rice now. It's like I'm perceiving jollof. No, the slides, please. That office is responsible for, as it were, documenting the project or the contracts that are ongoing, that has been paid for in different percentages. Yes. For some states, your tender board might be the Ministry of Finance. For some states, it might be in the Ministry of Information. For some states, Budget and Planning. So locate the tender board, and you can ask them questions to say, what's happening? This road is bad. Like we also said earlier, newspapers, because they are mandated to publish these contracts. Then, like my brother just said, you can also check construction or project boards. You know those boards that are usually on completed buildings? They are everywhere. The name of the contractor is there. The name of the ministry is there. So look at it and you can ask those people questions. Next slide. Very quickly. Okay, step 2. What do you now do as an active citizen that is looking? What do you now do? Tell other community members or leaders about this project. So now you now know that this road was supposed to start some months ago because you've checked the website, the tender document, and you have found that. It's important not to do this alone. Tell your community members, this road, once the commission and 2020. You know, because once the job, because many people don't know what has been earmarked for them. So all we do is complain. However, there is a way we can go about this with skill and tact and with information. I think somebody mentioned you engage our duty bearers with information and fact. So you have facts now from either the budget or the tender document that so project has been allocated. That's the word, thank you, has been allocated to even this contractor. Because the tender document will say which contractor is supposed to do that project. So tell people, gather your community leaders and let them come. Let them know. You can even organize town hall, just like a citizens' parliament. You discuss about it. So there's power in numbers. There's strength in numbers. Everybody can come together and say, okay, now what do we do? In that meeting, you talk about what do we do? How do we go about asking questions on this project? Quickly, I'll rush to the next slide. So ask questions. Request access to further information on the project. Right? Request, so for example, in the case where the project was allocated some months ago, it's not just like this one we check that it's July 18, it's this month, right? That one, it will take a while. So when you check the date, you see, in short, I think, you know when I was going through that document recently, you'll be surprised the thing they release money for in this country. I saw one, NSCDC, purchase of biros. Yes, yeah. Purchase of biros, and they call it recording pens, maybe for investigation. And I think it was like 2,000. I wish we could really see it. Like, and it's again, corruption is still in this country. People are still doing things when they have recording pens. You know when you watch American movie now, you saw those CIA recording. They do it. Anyway, so you ask questions. So in that meeting, you can ask, what do we do? How can we ask further questions? One very important way you can ask further questions, like our brother had mentioned, is the freedom of information request. And another colleague of mine is going to come and teach us on step-by-step processes on how to properly write a freedom of information request. So what that does, it is an act that was passed in 2011. It empowers every citizen to ask any question to government officials on what they are doing and how they are doing it. So you can come as a comment and say, okay, let us give issue an FOI request to this organization, to this ministry that we have found out in the tenders document, or to this contractor, what are you doing since 2020? Very quickly, once you do that, now for this last phase, when you are requesting, the last slide please, when you are requesting for FOI, sometimes you can request for FOIs and they don't respond. True or false? Yeah. Remember that I like to think, I like to say that for many of us as citizens, maybe because we have slept for so long, so they don't even send us. When we now talk, they'll be like, they also be tired. You know how we ask you ginger small, and then they will rest. So, but it's important that once you send the first FOI, they don't respond, you can send another one. Hello? You will keep sending. You can send, maybe there is a construction that involves Ministry of Works, you send, they don't respond. Send again. Send again. Because, remember, it's our pot of rice. If we push one, and they don't do, we will say, oh, let's leave them. What will happen? They will finish the rice. So you cannot be tired, right? You can send again and again. And my colleague will also come and tell you what you can do again if they do not respond for a while. Please, can we go back to the FOI slide, please? Okay, yes, great. So after you do your FOI slide, please, once you do your FOIs and you do that, sorry. Next slide, please. My time is fast and great. Something happens and then they respond. So, and meanwhile, we've had testimonials of community members who do these things and it works for them. Who do them. So, some months ago, I think late last year, the SERAP team was in the South, the research, and we engaged with some community members. The South, oil companies and community members, they ended up coming to agreements. You see those other boys? They will be on the neck of those contractors. You'll be surprised. I was in Delta State and I found out that they were building things. I think it was in Kwale South, a very local community. You see these young boys. They will be looking at the contractors like that are building the something. They are there. Their eyes is on that place. So they have the documents. They are saying that this is going to happen. So monitor the implementation. I know that for Nigerians, we think that, oh, as a tribe, no. But no, it doesn't end there. Monitor the implementation. They know that, our hands are on their neck. Monitor and keep the momentum. Because like I said, our duty bearers know that Nigerians are those small. But when they know that it's a new era, things have changed. These people are now enlightened. They know what to do. You keep the momentum. You keep asking. You keep following. You keep monitoring the implementation of that project you began the process on. The next slide, please. This is not working. Yes. It's also important to publicize the process. So make use of social media. Make use of the media generally. Now, this can work in two ways. You can also make use of these in the FOI stage. When you are sending your FOIs and they don't respond, call them out on social media. Our governments, they don't do well, but they like to appear like they do well. True or false? True. So when you, I don't use the word Gen Z. When you mention social media, imagine that you make a post on social media or even a radio or media and say, this is the tender documents, this is the name of the contractor, this is the project, and just put it out there. Something will happen. Something. Whether by shame, by hook or by hook. So try to publicize the process. Whether they answer or they do not answer. Try to publicize the process. Time is almost over and I'm almost done as well. Next slide, please. Yes, I tried to include this slide because it is important that we celebrate our little wins. You see that the cup is very small. It is important we celebrate our little wins and our little milestones. So, all of this that I have said, it wouldn't happen like that. I hope we know. Yeah. As a matter of fact, maybe when you are even trying to organize your community members, some people will say no, some people will say, so there's going to be issues. However, we should learn to celebrate what we call little milestones. And they respond and say, we will respond later. Celebrate that little win. It's something. Once a down, no, celebrate that little win. Don't wait until they finish the road for you say, hey, celebrate the little wins. And maybe also measure it in leader, because when government hear that, they are seeing what we are doing, they will probably be encouraged to do much more. So it's good that we celebrate little, because it can't happen in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day. Our corrupt society did not happen just in a day. And so little by little, things are going to change. But take note of little wins and celebrate them. We have been very good audiences, and we have listened attentively. Thank you so very much. If you have questions, we'll talk about them towards the end of the program.
Hello. Do you find yourself evading tax payments? Do you offer money to your youth administrator to help you beat the system? Do you offer bribe to local law enforcement agents simply because you beat traffic laws? Do you give or receive bribe in exchange for goods and services? Do you inflate the prices of things so that you can ridiculously profit from it? Do you abuse power for your personal gain? If you or somebody you know exhibit the following symptoms. Congratulations, you are corrupt. Yes, you are corrupt. Corruption affects all spheres of life. It continues to undermine the social, political, and economical development of Nigeria. Corruption remains one of the leading causes of societal cataclysmic failure. Corruption is highly contagious and desperately just the spark of an idea. If you or somebody you know is suffering from corruption, then just follow these simple steps. First, you have to admit that you or they are suffering from corruption. Secondly, you have to address it and fight for transparency. Thirdly, learn to reject bribe or speak to an anti-corruption agency. If symptoms persist and are severe, then you, my friend, then you.
You want to lick my ear? You want to put your tongue in my mouth or what? Am I man?
SERAP, sir.
What are you saying? Say what? SERAP. SERAP, what happened?
Sir, they have sued again.
I was what?
They have actually won some cases, but that's not even the problem right now, sir. I heard that Nigerians are putting pressure on the EFCC and ICPC. They want clarity on Alhaji Chidi Musa's report.
Alhaji Chidi Musa? You're the general of the federation. What happened?
They want clarity on the funds. They also want them to name and to disgrace the head of the department, ministries and agencies that are indicted in this Alhaji Musa's case. It gets worse. Nigerians are tired. They're complaining. They keep saying you people are looting.
What's wrong with this? What do you people?
I mean, they are complaining that the governments are looting funds. The latest is 1.14 billion for vehicles. 1.14 billion.
You use 1.14 billion naira to buy vehicles? Vehicles to combat illegality. Yes. Land Cruiser. Is it Land Cruiser they used to fight insecurity?
You know what the name for that? Land Cruiser, we are closing the land,
Everybody bulletproof Land Cruiser, which is commanding color. Stop that. Please. Okay, I want to talk about it, but don't worry.
Alhaji Musa also said that 617 billion, a chunk of funds released for some ministries and diverted to misappropriated, unapproved foreign trips. On payment to contractors and award of contracts without due process. Do you know there are no good roads? There are no schools, no power, no good health care.
Please. You said no good health care. It's that time to put that. Drop that, put that place.
You know we agree that when it comes to health care, please, we don't touch it. Come on, this is life and death now. People cannot afford the expensive amount of private hospital. So we said that health care will leave the money alone. Last week, just last week I lose my mother-in-law. Very painful thing. Very painful.
Very painful. on road. Healthcare is important to you. What's the difference between bad road and bad hospital? Right on the road.
You are vexing me. I talk now. Okay, tell me about that. What am I saying? The money for education. Well, you know, we see us striking now. You and that other minister, other people, you know about it.
Otuba, can you stop that? Is it not enough? Is it fair that you want to be opening our bomb in front of the small child?
Sorry, come
We will need the money.
Yes.
We won't touch it again.
Thank you very much. I feel so proud as a youth that I can help and talk to you people to help.
We have your best interest at You know, it's just like you that we need to use the military money to punish.
What say for instance, we open a new ministry for her.
Yes, we should open a ministry of space excavation. You know, course.
Well, come, let's give you space here. The ministry of space is here.
Come on, get back there. Mama, no go down. Let's do
Over the years, public impact and strategic litigation have become a major part of our work. Our public interest litigation work is based on the need to use the law to support larger human rights struggles and as an important tool of social change. SERAP was now Anti-Corruption Defender Award in 2014.
Of Nigeria is either you obey those laws or you forget about it.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project SERAP was created in 2004 and registered as a non-governmental, non-profit organization under Nigerian laws. For several years, we have worked to hold the government to account through the framework of human rights, anti-corruption laws, and standards. In line with our founding vision, SERAP has helped to advance transparency, accountability, and respect for economic and social rights through other means, such as media advocacy, public impact, strategic litigation, capacity building, institutional building, education, and awareness.
As a matter of fact, when issues linger for so long, by the time we introduce international, they start changing.
Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has revealed that 55 politicians and authors stole more than ₦1 trillion between 2006 to 2013 report. SERAP also condemned some high-level corrupt office holders who are getting away with crimes and profiting from Nigeria's legacy of impunity.
Over the years, public impact and strategic litigation have become a major part of our work. Our public interest litigation work is based on the need to use the law to support larger human rights struggles and as an important tool of social change. SERAP received the Yoruba Anti-Corruption Defender Award in 2014.
Is either you obey those laws or you forget about it.
Orúkọ mi ni Ọdún Ayọ̀, ọmọ ìgbà òyìnbó. Mo jẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú SERAP. SERAP jẹ́ àjọ tó ń jà fún ìṣíwó ará ìlú dáadáa láti àwọn ọwọ́ ìjọba. Ọ̀nà tá à ń gbà láti rí pé àwọn àgbàlagbà àtàwọn tó yẹ pé wọn ò lọ iléèwé, wọn ò gbóyìnbó, ọ̀nà tí à ń gbà láti jẹ́ kí wọ́n mọ nǹkan tá à ń ṣe àti pé láti mọ nǹkan tí ìjọba ń fi wọn ṣe ni pé à ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi ètò lédè Yorùbá, lédè àwọn èdè mìíràn tó ń ṣe èdè English ní orí rédíò àti orí TV. Yẹn jẹ́ tẹlifíṣọ̀n, àwọn ètò tó yẹ pé Yorùbá la fi ṣe, tá a máa wá síbẹ̀, tá a máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa nǹkan tá à ń ṣe láti jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn yìí mọ̀. Ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ọdún yìí, ó ní àwọn ètò tá a ṣe lórí rédíò káàkiri ìlú Èkó láti jẹ́ kí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn pàtàkì jùlọ àwọn tí wọ́n gbọ́ èdè òyìnbó tó yẹ pé Yorùbá la fi ṣe, tó yẹ pé àwọn èèyàn mọ̀, àwọn èèyàn dẹ̀ gbọ́n pa ètò yìí tó yẹ pé wọ́n ń pè tó tún ń béèrè àwọn nǹkan tó máa ṣe àti báwo ló ṣe máa ṣe lọ́wọ́ SERAP. So àwọn nǹkan tá à ń ṣe nìyẹn. A tún ní àwọn ìwé tí a ṣe lédè Yorùbá táwọn èèyàn lè kà, àwọn tó lè ka èdè òyìnbó tí wọ́n lè kà láti mọ nípa nǹkan tá à ń ṣe àti ẹsẹ̀ àti nǹkan tó lè ṣe láti jẹ́ pé ìjọba ó ń ṣe owó ará ìlú dáadáa. Torí ẹ̀ náà ni gbogbo àwọn tá a gbé wá yẹn, àwọn odi yẹn àtàwọn tó lè sọ̀rọ̀, a mú àwọn èèyàn tá à ń pè ní sign interpreter wá. Àwọn yẹn ló ń túmọ̀ nǹkan tó ń sọ fún àwọn odi àtàwọn tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ láti di pé wọ́n à ń ṣe gbogbo ètò láti di pé a fi èèyàn kan sílẹ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn kan lè yọ gbogbo èèyàn, àwọn ni wọ́n ní ẹ̀tọ́ láti gbọ́ nǹkan tá à ń ṣe. Torí ẹ̀ la ṣe gbé àwọn odi wá, a dẹ̀ gbé àwọn tí wọ́n ń túmọ̀ nǹkan tó ń sọ tí àwọn odi àtàwọn tó lè gbọ́rọ̀ kọ́ lè gbọ́.
Our mother is inspired. Please a round of applause for Sarah for putting that together. Thank you. Welcome back to reality. Alright, so from the advocacy videos we've seen, we can see how powerful we are as citizens and how when we take actions, these people are uneasy. They're not comfortable. They can be shouting and like my colleague said, yelling at us as if we're doing the wrong thing. But they see what we're doing and they're scared. They know the power we have, we own as citizens, and so we shouldn't relent. So when we have cases of corruption and you see one, call them out. They are usually scared when you do that. You see them bully us online. They call us SERAP. You heard some of the things they call us Swara, Suraju, Suya. You know, so many things like that. But what we are doing, is it working? And you notice that the more they do that, the more we go. Because we're winning these cases. Even if we don't win, these cases serve as advocacy tools to educate the public. So even when we don't win, or it feels like we're not winning, or it's being delayed, people learn from it. They are aware about these things, these rights. And so they are able to call these duty bearers to account. I'll give you one of the few cases we won, just one. You know, usually when they leave offices as governors, they still take pensions as governors, and then they become senators, and are still actively taking salaries. So we're in court, and we had a judgment in our favor that has stopped them for doing that. You know, so these are some of the cases we've won. This is just one. It doesn't feel like this, but when we keep going like that, things will change. So my point is, we shouldn't relent. No matter how little the result is, or even if it's not looking like there's a result, we are winning as Nigerians. It is our resources, and we should keep challenging these people. We put them there to serve us. It is our resources. We have every right to demand for transparency. And so we'll move on to the second thing here. I promise you won't take your time, but I'm sure it's something you want to learn about. We've titled the effective use of FOI Acts in promoting citizen action for improved governance. And I'd like to bring forward my colleague. He's a legal advisor at SERAP. Please help me make welcome Andrew Nwankwo for the next presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. You will agree with me that it's been a lovely day. The last paper opened our eyes to how to fight corruption. This one will not go so far from that too. This morning, the car I took to this place, the driver told me that when they increased the price of fuel to 514 naira, he thought it was the last price. Only for him to hear that it's now 612. And on channels this morning, we heard that there are opinions that when the Dangote refinery comes on board, fuel will come back to 300 naira. Do we believe that? Okay, why was they talking about that? So, talking about Dangote refinery, we know that when it was launched, so much was said about it. Like it's one of the biggest projects in Africa when it comes to refining oil. True of us, at least we followed it. So, just after the president left office, former President Muhammadu Buhari, we got from Arise TV and other news that you can see this, right? Yeah, we had the former governor of Nasarawa State, the present governor, saying Buhari spent over $19 billion on fixing refineries in 8 years without result, says Nasarawa Governor Sule. He stated that because a refinery would usually have up to 5 components, money was most times released to fix one part, which at the end did not yield any result. Well, I tried to convert $19 billion to Naira, but it wasn't popping on my phone. So, my phone could not take it. So that is what we are talking about. Imagine this money is said to be over what was used to build the 15 trillion was wasted in 8 years. Even mommy shouted, ah! Because that's a whole lot. So, how do we feel hearing that 15 trillion went down to 0.2? I should put it, let's even leave it 2. Okay, how do you feel hearing that 15 trillion naira? That's way over 1 year's budget. 15 trillion naira was wasted in 8 years. How do you feel? Let me hear. Some of us are shaking our heads. How do you feel right now hearing this? How bad?
Very bad, because wasting our resources and wasting a lot of them for fruitless exercise is very bad, as bad as bad.
For me, I feel worse knowing that people are outside there, they are struggling to get by every day. These people can barely feel what we are going through, and we keep getting the same thing. It feels like we don't need a revolution to make the change that we need. We just need to start now and take charge. We can't continue this way.
Somebody is giving a round of applause. Any comment from behind? When I was in school, I used to sit behind because I don't want questions to reach me. And I think and there are many students behind. So anybody, how bad do you feel? Or how good do you feel? Because there are some people who love corruption. So either way, any comments so that I don't leave you behind? All right. Okay.
I feel we have an insensitive government who is not sensitive to the needs of the people. Because if you are sensitive to the need of a commoner, you will not waste resources.
Okay, thank you very much. So very fast, I don't like saying this because the day I... Is that something?
Also, our failure as a citizen is to our duty of making sure that our political transparency are approved with the money they spend. We fail to demand accountability from them. That is the issue. For them to waste this huge amount of money. Our citizens, we are part of the problem. We have to be blamed.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I agree that we are part of the problem. Okay, now we have listened to this. We have expressed our sadness. We are seated. So when we leave here, we'll go home and say, do you know that the former president wasted 15 trillion? We'll tell our brother, do you know 15 trillion? I call it trillion because if you give me 15 trillion, so do you know the government wasted 15 trillion for nothing? Students were home for over months. yet 15 trillion was wasted. Now, we have heard this. What do you think we should do? Because we can't hear this and keep quiet in the face of the topic, which is promoting citizens' participation. We need to participate. We need to talk. We've heard this. What should we do? Should we just sit and say it's very bad? Should we just say, anyway, thank God the president is no longer there. But there is a new president and now for the 617. So, what should we do? Any idea?
Hello everyone, my name is Victoria. I think the first thing we need to do is to engage our community by creating awareness of these things, because most of them do not know what is happening. So when we create awareness to the community that this is what is happening around us, so please let's get up, we work together and ensure that we find the reason why this thing is happening and nobody is talking about it or nobody is ready to expose them. That is the only thing that can help us to move forward.
A round of applause. So thank you very much for that contribution. We have to do something about it, because if we continue to keep quiet, it's a problem. So there is this quotation from Omacheri. He says, for a healthy and balanced outcome, being opinionated must be paired with being informed. The first step to participating in government and to delivering an improved government as a citizen is to be informed. Some of us didn't know about this. Now we are informed. We feel bad. Now we want to do something. When we were having the first Mentimeter section, one of what was said was that as citizens we need to take responsible action to challenge irresponsible governments. Challenge irresponsibility and wastage of resources is to use what we call the Freedom of Information Act. And we are going to talk briefly about the Freedom of Information Act, because at the end of this talk, we're all going to write a Freedom of Information request on this 15 trillion naira, so that we can ventilate our grievance there and request for accountability. Or don't we want to know where the money went to? So we're going to do a draft FOI. So the Freedom of Information Act took a long while before it became law. It was passed during the time of former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2011. And before then, you can't get information, you write to government agencies, they don't reply you, and there's nothing you can do. But the law has come and it says we have the rights, unfettered rights, to ask or demand or request for any information we deem fit from government. It's even an interesting thing. Next slide, please. Because Section 1 of the Act gives us access to information. It tells us to write to any public institution. You can even write to the governor of Lagos State and ask him questions concerning resources. Next. So we have, next please. So you can write to the institutions and demand for information. Then, you see, persons in group of persons, public institutions, private bodies, etc. Now, you can also make oral requests. That's one of the innovations of the Act. You don't need to go to school before you can request for information. With me here is the Yoruba version of the FOI. So, after this session, if you're interested in it, it's outside, you can pick copies. So, you don't need to be sophisticated in English language. In your local language, you can walk to the institutions and tell them, I want to request information concerning ABC. Now, there is a mandatory obligation on the institution to reduce your oral request to writing. So, and also, you don't need to be interested in that information. Because sometimes they say, sabi, sabi. Rabu Rouser. You carry another person in headed for your head. What do you need information about money spent to build refinery for? You don't need to specify any interest. I'm a boy, thank you, Daddy. Busybody. So you don't need any particular interest in the information. All you need is the information, and it's within your rights. So you also have that right. Like I said, the law mandates public institutions to publish certain information, even without your request. You don't have to request it from them. It's a duty on them to do so, but they don't do it. So you can also even write to them requesting them to do the publication. Now, aside from that, there are other informations too that the law does not allow us to request for. You can't go and tell them to request for information on the investigation of an or request for information on where they kept all the bombs and ammunition they have been buying to fight Boko Haram. So these are security issues you don't have rights to request. But then you have right to request for all other things that the Act provides for, except those that are within the exceptions. So when you make this application, like we will do very soon, you give them 7 days. So we'll talk about how to write it. You give them 7 days to respond. The law says they have 7 days. Of course, the information is with them. Why should they waste time? You just open the file and say, okay, write it out. This is the information. Give it to Mama. Mama, take anything Mama wants to do with it. Fine. But then sometimes they even write back to you and tell you that they cannot find the file. Okay, she says snake to the snake wants to find. Okay, yes, that's good. So now they write to you that they can't find the file, or they write and say they can't give this information. So whichever it is, if they write to you without supplying you that information, it is a denial after 7 days. And the law requires that the person who is denying that information should write his name and sign as the person replying and denying. It is a criminal offense to deny information. So it's not just enough for you to go to court and say, give me the information. You can also initiate a criminal proceedings against the person who has denied that information. So you have which one to choose. Then they have 7 days. After 7 days, you can do whichever. Of course, there are other issues like if you want to initiate a criminal.
Orúkọ mi ni Chief Wahid Hasan Owodunni, Baálẹ̀ Bariga ní Lagos State. Ohun tí a kọ́lé ni láti rí pé gbogbo nǹkan tí ìjọba ń ṣe ní àdúgbò wa láti máa bójútó láti rí pé ohun tí wọ́n ṣe yẹn ó dáa fún àǹfààní gbogbo àwa aráàlú. Tá a fẹ́ kí ìjọba ṣe fún wa ni pé àwọn ọ̀nà wa tí ò dáa kan bá a ṣe. Then iná títì tí ò tọ̀ yẹn torí pé ó ń jẹ́ kí àwọn ọmọ burúkú wọ̀nyẹn kí wọ́n máa ṣe wàhálà tí ò dáa. Then àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké wọ̀nyẹn nǹkan tí wọ́n mú yẹn kó ìwà bá kó bá rí sí ó ti pọ̀ jù.
Kilarigbo Live TV.